Hey, welcome to another edition of Kyle Meredith with. It's the interview series presented by WFPK and WFPK.org, Consequence, and the Consequence Podcast Network. Thanks as always for making your way here. Check out the series. You know what to do. Like what you see, what you hear, hit that subscribe button. I put out 3 new interviews every single week, so it's a great way to keep up with your favorite artists. And I am so excited to have one of those favorite artists on today. I've got Lzzy Hale from Halestorm. Hello.
How you doing, man? Thank you so much for having me. I
It's a
appreciate it.
pleasure to have you on here. You've got a lot going on. There's a new record came out earlier this year, Back from the Dead. A powerful album once again. Congratulations on that.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. It's just great to have it out. We're after so long and recording it, and they're like, is anyone ever going to hear it? And it's just wonderful to have it no longer be mine, and now it's everybody else's.
Yeah. Well, and you've been taking it out on tour. I will quickly mention, actually, I'm sitting here in Louisville, and you're going to be here. What is the date? September 22nd. Part of
Yep, it's
Louder Than
coming up.
Life. Yeah. And that's a big festival. It's a good bill. The day that you're here, it's what Evanescence is also on the bill,
Yeah,
and Youngblood and Nine Inch Nails.
yeah, crazy. It's like we accumulated our own personal concert, but we get to play on it.
It's not bad at all. The I know you sort of have these great bands with you on tour all the time, but in moments like this, like, do you try to use those moments to hook up with friends on stage to make the magical moments happen, or is any of that sort of in the back of your mind?
Absolutely. In fact, even if it's not discussed previously, I always it's it's a little bit of a beautiful panic because it's like you want to go and support your friends either side stage, but you know that there could be a moment that they look and they're like, "Oh, Lizzie's here. Get on up here." And then and then it becomes like workmare. Like, do I know all the lyrics? Like, what's going on? But yeah, I love those moments and I love those opportunities and any time that we're able to support each other in what we do, it's that I mean that's where life happens, and so those are moments that will never happen again, and you get to let people experience those. Also, it's just a big family reunion. It's like summer camp every time we go to these festivals
Mhm.
because we're all busy. Everyone's out all the time now, and most of us haven't seen each other since BC, before COVID. So since 100 years BC, and so it's just like it's crazy to see people in person and their faces again. So I'm very much looking forward to it.
Yeah, I love that you brought up the work mayor, because I have them for this job too. I haven't played in a band since I was, like 20 years ago, younger, and I still have that one. I still have that one.
Yeah,
Get up on
exactly.
stage. I don't know this song. I don't know how to play guitar anymore. Sure, let's do this.
Let's do it. I had a few before our first big tour back, and it was always that same thing. I get up, I look at the set list, I don't know any of these songs, or I get up and I open my mouth and nothing comes out, or I'm playing some instrument that I don't know how to play, and I don't know why we decided to do that. It's just one of those things. It's just that's just going to be the way it is, I think, for the rest of my life.
Always be there. Well, adding it to the pressure, I don't know if this adds to the pressure at all, but I'm using it as a seg, is what I'm doing. But the covers that you all throw out there, and I know you did some, sort of in the studio versions of it, but it's been so much fun to see, what was it, Adele's Hello recently, and Dolly's Jolene. Of course, not the first time you've tackled Dolly, but the covers, being a part of this, I love the way that you all always take them on. But I think maybe some other fan ask it too, like, is this leading to something? Is this something you all want to do? Is there a project coming? Because suddenly we're seeing them.
Right. Well, it's funny because we have it in the back of our mind. It's something that we love to do. But really we were goofing around, and we literally were pulling some songs out of a hat that we've never tried. And those videos on TikTok were literally we put it together in like 2 minutes and just did it because hey, we got other things to do, but we should put up some some content. But the funniest thing about that is I told the guys, I said, let's plan on doing a cover EP, but let's use some of those like quick thinking, flying by the seat of your pants moments, because when we set out to do the Jolene, cover on TikTok. I think it was my little brother who was like, "Well, you can't go wrong with Sabbath." So it's like da 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 da. I'm like, "Yeah, let's just do that. It's fine." But that's that. That's the beauty of it. You can just kind of roll with it and go, and then that can kind of just become the map. So I'm not going to say no. I believe most likely we will end up getting the studio here at some point because we've been talking about it more often because everybody else kind of picked up on it. So we're
Mhm.
like, maybe we should get in the studio and do it. So yeah, yeah,
The
yeah.
covers EP, the cover, whatever it is, I would love to hear it. I also want to hear the covers that don't work. Like those are obviously a part of it too. Like, oh, we've always wanted to try this, and you do it, and like that's not going to happen. No, no one's going to hear that.
We did that on the last cover EP. Uh, there's well, not the reimagined, but the one that we
Hmm.
did a bunch of the covers on, the one before that, the reanimate one, and we that was where Ride the Lightning came in because Ride the Lightning wasn't on the list, but we had was it Percy Sledge, When a
Hmm.
Man Loves a Woman, and we were recording it, and there is a version of us doing it that has never been heard, and we're listening to it, we're like, guys, like it's just our moms that are gonna like this. It's just our mom. That nobody's gonna care. And so we're like, well, what else can we do? We don't have anything like heavy. And we had one day left in the studio because we had only booked it for 5 days and we were doing like kind of a song a day. And so we already kind of like thrown away a day working on Percy Sledge. And somebody was like, well, we were talking about Ride the Lightning. We're like, yeah, let's do that. And then it's like, oh my gosh, this is such a task for a day. But that was fun. Another flying by the seat of your pants moment. I feel like as I'm talking to you, I'm having this epiphany that somehow that's how I've mapped my entire career and my life is you dive in head first into the Shark Tank, you say yes, and then figure it out later.
Right. It's worked out well.
Don't think, just do.
I think that's worked out really, really well. And I, I'll go back to the bigger topic at hand here because you did put out this amazing record, um, which I know has its own story, its own backstory. As you talked about, everything that you dealt with and a lot of us dealt with, over the past few years, especially when the lockdown happened, and the mental health moments of this album. Where was your mind? Where were you mentally as you went into writing these songs?
Well, we went through, I guess, a similar roller coaster ride. Whereas when everything shut down for the first time, um, we had begun writing for the next record, and so we were all kind of just in my home studio doing things, and then there was uh, just every day was kind of more bad news. Things were shutting down. Everyone was encouraging everyone to stay home. And so I basically turned to the guys. I'm like, hey, this is going to blow over in like a month. We haven't had a vacation in like 17 years. So everybody just go enjoy spending time with your significant other. We'll reconvene when this all blows over. And then, slowly but surely, month after month, it was like, okay, well, we did have like a couple shows come up and we can't do those, and then we had a tour coming up and we can't do that, and then we were supposed to get into the studio, but now I have no idea when that's coming. So it was just this like this like 1 month or so where it's like we get beer delivered to our door, this is amazing, we're all in this together, to oh my god, the world is ending. And then as that kept going on, and just you couldn't help feeling kind of the weight of it, and also what was missing. I don't think that I realized until all of this went down how much um, I use all of those weapons, in my arsenal. Whereas, albeit just the camaraderie with your bandmates, or the traveling, or the show, which has become an addiction, for a lack of a better term. The live rock show, that's where you get those feelings. And even just the forward movement, there has never been a time in my life, as since I was 13 when we started Hailstorm, that there wasn't something next, anything next, even if it was a bowling alley gig twice a month. In fact, this has been the first time I'd gone that long without a show, because speaking of bowling alleys, when I was 13, 14 years old, we did have a bowling alley gig at least twice a month. So it was just one of those things. You don't realize how much you use all of that to combat, you know, these issues, and that you do have inside. Like I I have anxiety. I suffer from bouts of depression and imposter syndrome, and there's an alphabet soup of things that go along with me. And I use a lot of these things as my armor to keep that at bay. And I don't think I realized how much I use it. So, I went through a lot of lows into, okay, I have to like maintain hope. And then at one point in time, I was talking to the guys and I'm like, well, what can we do? And we can immerse themselves in a couple of different projects. And I started doing a little bit of that, and that helped. But really, the only outlet for it was to literally write through it. So sat my butt down and I went over a bunch of the older demos that we had begun writing in the beginning before the pandemic. And they seemed a little safe and unimportant at that point. So just decided to kind of keep writing in the now. Okay, what am I feeling right now? Even if it sucks and even if it's gibberish, I'm just going to put it down every single day. And that was kind of how I worked out of that. Um, no pun intended, but that 6 feet hole that I was kind of digging for myself. And so the silver lining and the beautiful thing about that is that I rediscovered why I still love writing and why I still do it. And it's not because it's my career now. It's not because we have fans, and it's not because we have a record label breathing down our neck. It's because I need to do it as a form of therapy, and as an extension of myself, and how I can figure out the put the crazy puzzle pieces in my head together. Because once you do that, once in any of those outlets, once you accomplish that, you're writing these songs, and when you know that they're done and you know that they're good, and you can kind of set that issue aside for a while, because it's this productivity, and you're like, well, I think I figured something out about myself through writing that. And then when we were recording the song, so then finally we get a little bit of a window. Everything got lifted for a while. So then we're all in the studio and we're masked up and we're going over these songs and we're doing it. And then everything would shut down again. We'd have to go away. So it's just like this big back and forth. But we hadn't had any shows in so long. So what we didn't realize this until after we were listening to the masters of these songs, that we wrote a pretty heavy record. And well, we weren't really intending on doing that, not consciously anyway, but subconsciously, I guess. You have to put it somewhere, because we couldn't
Sure.
lay all the angst out on a stage somewhere. So yeah, again, silver linings. This would have been a very different record if the world hadn't ended.
What to talk about the things you're talking about, obviously cathartic for you, it sounds like, but important for people who are also needing to hear those. I even saw, like, maybe it's kismet, whatever, but your birthday is on World Mental Health Day.
Yeah, right. I didn't know that, I think, until this year. And I'm like, seriously. Yeah, I mean, I've always been a huge advocate for it, because and my little brother and I talk about that a lot, because even when we were growing up in the 90s, there was this huge stigma that if you were going to see a therapist or were trying to figure some things out in your head, that meant you were nuts. And so then all of a sudden that's who you are. It becomes like your identity, and that's just not the case. And in the wise words of my drummer slash little brother, he's like, sis, we go to a dentist for our teeth, we go to a physical doctor for our bodies, this is just a doctor for our heads. It's the same thing. You need checkups every now and then. I'm like, yes, you're right, little bro. It's in the best form. That's exactly what that is. But really trying to break the stigma, but also through with this album, the crazy thing is that because I was, and we all were, but we're writing from this personal spot and this almost selfish place. Now, after the album is released, I'm seeing so many people that are owning these messages and owning these songs as if it were their own, and getting the lines tattooed on their arms because it saved them from something. So then I realized that I was not alone in any of the things that I was feeling, because all of these people in front of me on this stage right now have gone through the exact same things that I'm going through, and or are still going through it. So that's just the power of music, and the fact that that can be, you know, passed on, and is just it's a wonderful thing.
Yeah. Well, it's almost It's almost surprising, and I'd be curious where this comes from too, because for the darkest moments of this album, you also have these bright moments. I mean, I was looking at a song called "Terrible," "Terrible Things" on here,
Mhm.
and like it's like when you're dealing with the darkness of yourself, how do you see the light in other people? You know?
It's true because you especially and you know, I find myself saying this a lot, whereas you can't really love somebody, you can't, or should I say, and I'll make another analogy, you can't spill your cup for someone if you don't fill it for yourself. So, you know, self-love is very important. But also we're not just dealing with that in these days. It's not just about what you're going through. You know, we're watching all of these things happen in real time, these catastrophic events and these huge leaps backward in human
Mhm.
evolution and thinking and science. And there's, but then even on a petty level, it's like there's hate for hate's sake, has nothing to do, there's no logic to it. And why are we still fighting about these petty things that don't matter at all? We should be beyond that. But if you decide to give up on that, then what are we doing it for? So it's, so for me, and in almost a selfish way, I have to always kind of have that light at the end of the tunnel in a lot of these songs, because specifically in that one, like, yes, life sucks. We are awful things. You know, we're destroying everything in our path. We can't get along, but I don't believe that we're inherently evil, and I don't believe, I can't just lie down and say, well, this is it. You know, I have to believe that we can be better and that we can move forward and we can ebb and flow and come out of that. And a lot of these songs on this album, I found I write, and I do this a lot, I think, not just because of the pandemic, but even in previous albums, you kind of have to write yourself a little pep talk. You know,
Mhm.
it's like I journal every day as well, as you know, just putting together lyrics and music. And I think that you know, you have to kind of put all these things down on paper, and you have to like look at it from this perspective, and you have to be brutally honest, and you know, and you have to be hard on yourself, and you have to look at dogs, sorry. And you have to look at the world for what it is, but you have to somehow find that solution and give that little either pep talk to you or pep talk to the world. Be like, we still got this, you know, because as soon as we lose that, I mean, we we're done, we're
Mhm.
done, you know. And so that's just anyway, that's my philosophy in my small corner of the world. And this is how I survived.
Well, it does come out in those powerful moments, and "A Strange Girl," compliment those are powerful moments that come out throughout the record. And then there's this other side. I mean, the religious iconography, always a helpful writing tool that I found too. But when you look at, you take the steeple, take many of the songs on here, and you get the appearance of God and the devil and Bibles. Like, what role does that play for you? Maybe just specifically on this album.
um Something I enjoy, and I've done on other albums too, but something I enjoy is using that, you know, religious connotation to write the devil's music. I just like, I like the dichotomy of it. But in a lot of ways, it's, you know, it's not untrue, and it's not just a turn of phrase or a trick. You know, I believe that especially, you know, the Church of Rock and Roll, the stage, the sanctuary that we have within the show and within our rock community, and the people that come see the shows. Also, what you experience, not just from my perspective performing, but when what you experience when you go to a show, and when you're with a bunch of weirdos that are just like you, and you're all singing your hymns, you're singing your anthems, the things that have changed your life, you know, and we're under this I don't know, it's almost like everything that is going on outside in your life doesn't matter for just one, just 90 for 90 minutes,
Mhm.
at least. None of that matters. And to me, that is a religious experience. So, but it's funny. So to go back into my past a little bit, my parents, probably from the time that I was about, mm, I want to say 6 or 7, until I was about 12. We're very much in the Christian community. Some of my first concerts were contemporary Christian rock of the 90s. you know?
You've had your fair share of audio, or no, audio adrenaline
Yes,
concerts. Yeah,
audio
yeah,
adrenaline, and yep, DC Talk,
right.
Newsboys, the whole thing. So in a lot of ways, that was my first introduction to like live music. But I feel like it's come full circle now in my adulthood to kind of bring
Mhm.
some of that experience back, because there are similarities, and not to get on not I'm not necessarily talking about religion, but the
Right.
fact that people need these things, and they need that North Star. And so the fact that you can find all of those things within the immense power of music, and our forefathers and mothers of rock, the rock gods that are still around, but is beautiful. And I end up just enjoying writing about that and putting that into the songs. Now it is funny too, because I do have um, a couple family members that understand the humor in that, and then I have a couple family members that are just oblivious, and and they're like, "Oh, I'm so glad you're talking about God again." So
Whatever
what
helps.
whatever helps it along,
Right.
but
Right.
yeah, but it's all good. I feel like with everything that we do, you have to put that positivity out there, and you have to, because there's, like we said before, you know there's enough of the negative in the world.
Right.
So
I love how you do it. I really do. Again,
thank
I
you.
gonna compliment it. It's a powerful album, and I'll quickly. We're probably up against the clock here. I'll quickly just say that also I'm looking forward to the graphic novel this Halloween that's coming
I'm so
out.
excited.
Yeah, and
We
congratulate. I saw the Gibson guitar. I've been watching that, and did it just pop? Was that what Jimmy Fallon handed Demi Lovato the other day? Did
It
I read
was.
that?
It was. I had found out the morning of. We had gone over to the Gibson garage in Nashville, Tennessee. Were signing some things for Ukraine relief, and one of the guys from marketing comes down. He's like, "Oh, Lizzie, you're here." He's like, "Guess what? Jimmy Fallon is going to give away your Explorer bird to Demi Lovato tonight on his show." I'm like, "What?" And I swear. So like we're watching, and all of us did an audible squeal when he opened up the case. It's still so exciting. It's like it still happens when we hear our song on the radio. It's like,
Mhm.
oh, we're on, turn it up. It's the same feeling. So yeah, I know that their circles are getting tighter, especially with all the cross genres, and all the pop kids are getting into rock now. And people are discovering Metallica for the first time after 35 years, of with
Mhm.
Master of Puppets on Stranger Things. It's a beautiful time to be a rock band. I'm
Yeah.
I'm enjoying seeing everybody discover that. So yeah.
If only there could be that split EP of Metallica covering Kate Bush and vice versa.
Oh yeah.
That'd be a good one.
Okay. Can we please make that happen? Somebody, anybody
Manifest.
listening. Yes. Yes. I will personally find you and make you do it. That would be awesome.
It would be awesome. Lizzie, congrats again. I do love Back from the Dead. I'm so looking forward to seeing you guys here in Louisville too at Louder Than Life. It's been years now, so this is I'm hoping for a good
Right?
weekend. I'm hoping to see some fun up on that stage too. Whether it's
Oh,
the
oh
work
yeah.
dreams or not.
No, regardless. Well, we don't perform with a click or tracks or any trickery. So there's always a moment within every rock show, whether people notice or not, where it's like, okay, this could be a train wreck, or we could make it into something. Oh, now let's go left. We're going left now.
The audible is cold, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
So
right on. Well,
so
I'm
it'll
looking
be a lot
forward
of
to it.
fun.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
I
thank
hope
you
I
so
hope
much for
I
taking the
hope
time
to
to
see
talk about it.
Of course, and I hope to see you louder in life in the flesh.
I'll be there. I'll be there.
Yeah.
Right on. Well, take care. We'll see you soon.
Yes, thank you so much for taking the time, darling.
And thanks to my guest. Also, thanks to you for checking out the episode in the series. Before you get out of here, hit that subscribe button. Again, you get 3 brand new interviews every single week. New one every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at right here on YouTube, or of course anywhere in podcast land, including iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podchaser, NPR, or WFPK.org as well. A great way to keep up with your favorite artists and discover new ones as well. Then after that, actually head over to WFPK.org. That's where I do a show Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern. It's an hour full of song premieres, music news, anniversary spins, bonus interviews, Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern at WFPK.org. Consequence has your music and film news. You can also find me on the social media spots, Facebook, Instagram, mostly on Twitter. All 3 of them, the address is at Kyle Meredith. Do hope you like and follow along. That does it for another edition. I'm Kyle Meredith. I'll see you next time.